Good evening. It is January 25th, as far as I know. It's snowy in the Midwest. Da, da, da. It's not quite Superman, but it's the best you're going to get on this YouTube channel. The week of a micro budget filmmaker was relatively quiet. I think early in the week, Sky, who plays Susie, portrays Susie, a great young actress, sent me finally, I don't say finally disparagingly, she sent me some audio files for some voiceover. So here's a little digression, a little story digression. When I wrote the script that was in the semi-final draft, it had a completely different opening, which in retrospect would not have been nearly as good as what is going to be in the movie. And Brett and Reese pointed this out. And not only did they point it out, which is one thing, but they suggested a new opening, which was simpler, got the point across easier, allowed really, I won't say it was a cheat really, but it was a great way to introduce kind of the conceit of the story, to set up Susie's struggles as an actress who has not done very well and is pressured to go home. But it's a much more straightforward way to do it. So I did that. I rewrote the first like 5-ish pages, and that allowed us to also trim down some other stuff, which really accelerated the opening, which I think is good for the movie. In doing so, there is a scene that we just wrote. Well, I typically wouldn't do this, but they sort of talked me into it. They just said, just write, she auditions, and we'll do the rest later, which we did. And it's kind of as you'll see when you watch the movie, either in a theater or on streaming or something, you will see that the title sequence is basically her doing something which I won't totally give away, but it's kind of auditioning. And then there is a scene which, again, we just said we're going to just fill in some stuff here and we don't know what it's going to be, which again, I typically would not do because I really want to know what's going where. So we shot it, and we didn't try to do anything while shooting because we knew that it wouldn't work out to do what we ended up doing in voiceover, and with some graphics, I guess you could call it, some compositing, whatever. And I think it turned out well. Reese and Brett are happy with it, which is always good. And so that is a long way of saying that she sent me some audio files that is used in that segment, which is only, I don't know, 15 or 20 seconds. I don't think it's much longer than that. But it really works because as we shot it, if we cut from A to B, it did not work. And I was like, this this isn't working. I knew that as soon as I put the first cut, not even of the whole film, but of that scene. And I said to them, we need to do something. Here's an idea. And I executed it flawlessly. No. But so you'll see when you see the movie again, you'll see all of this voiceover that she has during this sequence was not entirely planned out in pre-production or even production. It pretty much came through post-production. So she sent me those lines. I put them in. They worked great. She sent me some other lines for the end, which again, the way it was written made sense in terms of when we're wrapping the story up, which again, you'll see. But the way we shot it, and I knew on the day we shot it that it just wasn't quite right. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but it just wasn't right. And again, I could kind of tell it, but I didn't know at the time really how to solve the problem. So she recorded a couple lines that I think will solve the problem. And she sent me those and I put them in. But now I think I need to get Christine Marie, who plays Clara, who is the Over the Hill, or is she, screenwriter in the film. And so we're sort of cheating because all of these lines are going to be on the other end of a Zoom call where you're not seeing the person delivering the line, which in this case, I think works fine. There's really no reason to see the person say the line. In fact, excuse me, it's better to see the reaction, which is what we have, even though it was at the time they weren't reacting to what is in the movie or the line. So that should be interesting. I think it's going to work. And then she did a couple ADR lines, which unfortunately it seems like she recorded with a different microphone or different settings, and the volume is super low. And I told her it doesn't work. So she's going to try to redo that and recreate the magic. Reset me a very short ADR line, the first of which did not work, the second of which works okay. I'll have him watch it and listen to it and see what he thinks. Other than that, the only real thing I've done is I worked on the end credits, which I should have timed them out. I didn't even think of timing them out. They're not going to be too long. We're going to have the cast, obviously, going to have the crew, the special thanks to, some technical stuff, and then of course that disclaimer you put at the end. So I don't think it's going to be more than a minute of credits. Well, I guess including the cast, it will probably be a minute and a half, maybe. Something like that. So the last thing that a 90-minute movie needs, in my opinion, are 5 or 10 minutes of credits. And I don't care whether you're super big budget or what. In fact, when I saw the Naked Gun, the new one, and the running time was like, I don't know, 87 minutes or something like that. And it had a ton of credits. The story itself was maybe, as I recall, it was like less than 80 minutes, I think. And the story was not even, it was fluffy and padded to begin with. So the movie was about a C plus as far as I'm concerned. But to have all those credits was just crazy. And yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I digress. So maybe a couple minutes of credits. I did contact someone who I had asked about doing a voiceover, other end of a phone conversation. I'm hopeful that he will get that to me in the next few days. He said he would. And then, sort of interestingly enough, and spoiler alert, this gentleman was the music director who did all the musical theater and the acting and stuff at the high school where Reese and Brett and their brothers and sister graduated. So we thought that would be kind of fun. And they also used to be our across the street neighbor. And then there's another voiceover for a female that's got like 2 or 3 lines. And so I just today asked a lady who was the musical director, etc., after this guy, which is kind of cool. So we'll see if she says okay. If not, we'll find someone else. And then I also, late breaking, doesn't matter. I told Christine Marie, who plays Clara, that she had done some voiceover and just the quality of the mic wasn't very good. So we're going to try to do that over and maybe add one more line. So pretty quiet week, but you still got to do the little things too. I don't know. I ate some popcorn because I had to pause when my wife came home. That's why I'm licking stuff off my lips. I apologize for that. The point is, you got to keep working on it. I also have this new script, which I've been thinking about. I don't think I've written anything in the last week, and I was going to do some today, but then I started doing these closing credits, watching some football. I had to snow plow, and so that's how things go when you live in Michigan. I showed you that earlier. All right, that's it for today. I will check in sometime soon.